Okay, good morning. I'm going to call to order the annual meeting of the KPPA board, and we're going to begin with a legal opening statement.
Yes, sir. This is a regular meeting of the Kentucky Public Pensions Authority. This meeting is being broadcast via video teleconference pursuant to Kentucky Revised Statute, Section 61.826. It may be viewed by the public at the Kentucky Public Pensions Authority offices located at 1260 Louisville Road in Frankfort, Kentucky. It is also being broadcast to the public via Facebook. If you are speaking and not appearing by video, please identify yourself before talking. In the event the video or audio broadcast is interrupted, we will attempt to reestablish a connection. If a connection cannot be reestablished within 30 minutes, the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled to another date. Thank you.
Okay, roll call.
Yes, sir. Mr. Piercy,
Here.
Mr. Cheatham,
Here.
Dr. Hackbart,
Here.
Ms. Hampton,
Here.
Mr. Lane,
Here.
Mr. O'Mara,
Here.
Mr. Powell,
Here.
and Mr. Summers. Thank you.
Okay, public comment, Sherry.
Yes, sir. We received one public comment from a Beth Mary Brueggemann, and she writes as follows. I request this comment to be made public at the meeting of the Board of Trustees of KPPA. I am a retired classified employee of Kentucky Schools. I am friends with retired teachers whom I worked with for almost 20 years. During our employment, all employees selected their health insurance from the same options. Now in retirement, I am aware through research that there is a huge disparity in the plans offered teachers. Renew Active versus KPPA Silver Sneakers. Renew Active offers a plethora of in-person, teacher-led daily classes at local gyms, Silver Lake and Better Bodies, and specialty exercise classes, Pure Barre and Club Pilates. Silver Sneakers is primarily online and self-directed exercise with gyms that offer little, Esporta to water aerobic or no Planet Fitness weekly classes. They offer seniors to go to very sporadic, already free classes at senior centers. There isn't a senior center in Kenton County. I feel my life and health are of equal importance to all of Kentucky employees. I believe that in-person exercise has safety, assistance with modification and correction of improper form from instructors, and social benefits, especially for retirees who found themselves trying to fill the void of former work connections. I respectfully ask that the Board of Trustees, Kentucky Retiree Health Plan Committee, review and make changes to make plans for all Kentucky employees equitable. We all deserve the same chance at a long, healthy life. Thank you for your consideration of this matter. Sincerely, Beth Brueggemann. Thank you.
Keith, could I make a comment?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we don't tend to respond live to these comments, but if the board is interested in our perspective on the issues that she raised, I'd be happy to get them an email update and some perspective.
Okay.
I'd be interested.
I would be interested in seeing the comparison.
Me too.
All right, we'll take care of that.
Okay, thanks, Dave. We are up to the approval of minutes. Now we have meeting minutes for KPPA board meetings on March 19th, 21st, 26th, and 27th. And we also have meeting minutes from the ad hoc executive search committee for March 1st. So I'll seek a motion on those.
Is that motion for all of them?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve all the minutes that's listed on the agenda as written.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. We're now up to the election of the chair for the new board year, and I'll turn it over to the great David Eager.
Thank you. Are there any nominations for the chair of KPPA?
I will make a nomination. I will say last year we had a great discussion on the rotation of chair between the two boards, and I really saw value in that. We're going from one Keith and then into Jerry and now back to Keith. And so I would like to nominate Jerry as chair of KPPA.
I'll second.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, we have a nomination and a second for Jerry Paul as chair of KPPA and taking over today. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Jerry, congratulations and thank you. You've done a great job in the past, and I will expect you will going forward as well.
Thank you for those kind words, and thank you for the trust of the board for me to lead this fine, austere organization. With that being said, thank you. The next on the agenda will be the election of vice chair and committee assignments. At this time, I'd like to nominate Mr. Piercy for vice chair.
And I will second that.
I have a first and a second. Any discussion? Any other nominations? Okay, Mr. Piercy, there's being no other nominations. All in favor for Mr. Piercy, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Piercy, for accepting that responsibility, and look forward to working with you again.
Thanks.
The next is will be committee assignments. I haven't talked to some of the people yet, so that would be for the audit committee. So I'm going to postpone that until I can connect with those, because I didn't have the list of who was going to be next. But I do, because Mr. Lamb says that we need to get this going right away for the budget work group. I am putting forth Mr. Bill O'Mara and Ms. Lynn Hampton for that. I appreciate you two willing to step up and take on that responsibility. You both did a great job previously, and I look forward for more good things.
Jerry, I would like
Yes,
to
ma'am.
say that after discussion with the KRS members of KPPA, I asked if anyone was interested in being able to be on the budget committee, which I think is a really good committee, especially in learning all of the intricacies. And Pruitt actually said that, and he was on it 2 years ago, would be willing to serve. So I would like to substitute Pruitt for me in that committee.
Okay, I'll let me write that down. Okay. And Mr. O'Mara, would you be willing to serve that committee also?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Let's see here. So got Pruitt and yes.
Yeah, if we could designate one of those two individuals to lead that, since it is going to be open meetings, we'll need to have someone to run the meeting.
I thought we'd do like we have in some of the other ones, just let them pick their own leader.
I
Unless they won't.
can help with that right now. I won't serve unless Mr. O'Mara is chairman. Is that clear?
Yes.
I think that cleared it up pretty well.
Yeah.
And also, Mr. Powell, just wanted to let you know, we do have another committee, the KPPA Ad Hoc Regulation Committee, as well as the audit.
I forgot about the ad hoc. Mr. Piercy, would you still be interested in serving on that?
Sure, no problem.
Mr. Cheatham, would you be willing to serve on the ad hoc KPPA committee? Which is we been reviewing an update in the KARs is what it involves. And I'll continue to serve on that also. That gives us a 3.
If you need a fourth, do you need a fourth on that?
We've just been doing 3 on that since it's just reviewing. And then do some clarification. On the audit committee, I've just got the 2 so far, and we're going to have a discussion about some of the committees later on. So that's part of the reason I'm kind of holding off on that one until we figure out what actions we're going to take later on.
Perfect.
And
Thank you.
and to give me an opportunity to talk to some of the other people. Next up on the agenda now would be the ACFR recommendations. Mr. Lamb.
Thank you, Chair. Over the past couple months, I have presented this memo to both the C board and the KRS board. This was my research to whether KPPA should publish 1 ACFR or 2 ACFRs. Through my research and under GASB guidance, I've concluded that the KPPA is actually the PERS under the GASB definition. And we could choose to do the ACFR however we felt necessary. And through some discussions with various people, I recommend that we go ahead and split the ACFRs out, 1 for the CERS plans and 1 for the KRS plans, starting with this fiscal year. The C and K board both kind of approved this recommendation in a manner of endorsing my recommendation. And so I'm also presenting it to the KPPA board to see if they would do the same and go forward with 2 ACFRs on starting with June 30, 2024.
Sorry, I couldn't get my mouse to work to unmute myself. This has been discussed in both the C and K boards. Is there any questions for Mr. Lamb on any more about this, or we've got them all answered during our respective board meetings?
Jerry, I have some comments.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just really want to commend Mike for the work that he did and the research that he did and talking to GASB and researching what other state organizations are doing and then coming back to both of the committees with this information. This was not something to take lightly, and Mike did not, and it was very good. As far as I'm concerned, it was very, very good that he did it. I learned a lot, and I think we're making the right decision. I just have my fingers crossed, and Mike knows this, that somewhere down the line, GASB doesn't decide that we should return to the 1 presentation ACFR. So again, thank you, Mike, for all the work that you and your staff did.
Thank you. It was enlightening work.
I would like to echo that commendation. I thought the research was very impressive, very thorough, and was a very knowledgeable review and recommendation to the boards. So I appreciate all the work and the quality of the work that went into this project.
Thank you both for your comments. I will now entertain a motion that we accept the recommendations for the separate ACFRs.
I'll make the motion.
Have them first. How about a second?
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Any further discussion or comments? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Again, I'd also like to echo the comments made by Ms. Hampton and Mr. O'Meara for Mr. Lamb and his staff. When I first initially was looking at this, it was kind of like, I don't know about that. But the information you presented, both written and verbally during the meetings, definitely could understand it a whole lot better and made me a believer as it was. So thank you and your staff for your work.
Thank you.
Number 9 is in reference to the employment contract with Mr. Barrow. I will entertain a motion to move that farther down on the list until Mr. Summers can get here, so we can have the total board to discuss this. Can
I'll make that motion.
I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We'll take that up when Mr. Summers can join us. Next on it will be number 10 is the KPPA strategic plan. Ms. Atkins.
Good morning. We're just going to give you an update of where we are with strategic planning. We do not have the official plan that's going to be public facing and posted on the website yet. We're still making that exactly what we want, but I wanted to tell you where we were. So I'm on page 45 of the board books. Sherry's there. So we have identified, and we've already told you about the 4 areas of focus. So they're chosen thoughtfully in this order. So organizational excellence, we're talking about as a strategic plan, wanting our agency to do things efficiently, to serve our membership well. We're going to talk about benchmarking with that. So the areas of focus are organizational excellence, customer service, infrastructure, and key resources, and then governance is last. After organizational excellence, we're moving straight to serving our customers well, providing excellent service for all of them, and how we're going to do that. Then we've got infrastructure and key resources, so the tech and the staff, including succession planning, things like that. And then over all of these 3 is good governance and how you guys can monitor our improvements and our path towards this strategic plan. Under each of the areas of focus are 3 or 4 initiatives. So I won't read all of those to you, but basically organizational excellence, we're going to look for some sort of model to follow. We'll wait for the new executive director to dig in the details in that. One of the models that they're suggesting for us, Provaliant is our vendor, Ray Smith and Chris Bounton is our vendors for that. They're recommending that we look at Baldridge as a plan, but there are other plans as well. So we'll see what the new executive director, what direction they want to go with that. And then benchmarking, we've done CEM benchmarking as a standard for pensions. For our operational side, we are doing it this year for our investment side. That will be an interesting piece. Under customer service, we're moving forward.
Rebecca,
Yes.
before going on, what is Baldridge?
Baldridge is, it's based out of NIST, which is where we use our cybersecurity. So the National Information Securities, I don't know what the T stands for, but NIST is a nationally recognized kind of standards board, and one of their governance models is not just governance models, but they're models for excellence in operational side of the house is Baldridge. That's just the name of the model. So you can Google it. It goes on and on and on. There's so much to a Baldridge framework.
Lynn,
Okay, so it's not a pension specific, it's a
No.
guideline. Okay.
It
I
is
think-
not pension specific.
I think it's named for Malcolm Baldridge, who was a management consultant and I think it's focused a lot on productivity as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Under customer service, we're looking at targeted communications. So right now we do a lot of across the board to everybody. The best practice right now seems to be early stage career, mid-career, late career, post-retirement kind of communications. So we're looking at that. We're adding surveys. And then that middle initiative is really about picking key processes that that we feel like we can do better. And so we're going to look at those. That's really where Provaliant is going to come in and help us first. They're recommending teams of 3 to kind of hit a specific problem. We're going to look at the account auditing process. That seems to be a little bit of a bottleneck for us. And so we're going to look at that and look at it holistically and see what we can do with that. So moving down to infrastructure and key resources, we're moving forward on this one as well. It's pretty common for pensions across the country to be looking at modernization of their infrastructure. So one of the things that Provaliant is recommending is that we issue an RFP to have somebody come in to assess the technology, to give us kind of a look at it against some standards and say, these are old, these are new, and where do we want to go with that? So Provaliant's helping us kind of move forward in that direction. The key resources part of this is, so we're looking at succession planning and pieces like that, but right this second, we're not moving forward with that. Right now, it's about tech. And then in governance, we'll look at, I know that Mr. O'Mara, you have asked for us to be really proactive about monitoring governance for best practices and do we have the right policies and those kinds of things. So that's kind of the area, but again, we'll wait for the director to see what we would like for that. What won't be public facing particularly, but each one of these initiatives will then have action plans. The action plans are 2 or 3 page documents that really kind of lay out how we're approaching each of these initiatives. And that will be an ever-changing kind of living document that comes back and forth. So we'll present to you, hopefully at your next meeting, the final public-facing version of the document, the one that won't change very much for a couple of years. And then the action plans will change all the time. Are there any questions? That's kind of where we are with it.
Is there any history here in terms of plans like this in the past for KRS?
KRS's last strategic plan was, I believe, dated 2007. And yeah, so it's been quite a while since we did this. We certainly do this more in silos. We have done this. TAC has had strategic plans for years. Each director has had kind of where they want to go. This is a more holistic view. This is something that we've been missing for a while and we really wanted to move forward with.
So you see this as a more formalized process and structured, and presumably this would be adjusted every so often, or what's your vision there?
Absolutely. So we're identifying what we want to do. There's a lovely chart that will be in the full one. So the idea is make your plans, measure your plans, look at the measurements, assess them, and keep moving forward. So it'll integrate with budgeting, it'll integrate with hiring, it'll integrate across the board, really to use it not just as a piece of paper that say we check that box and put it on the shelf, but to say this is really where we're going to spend our money, this is where we're putting our resources, these are our priorities.
I think that's important. There's a dynamic aspect of it because I think so many organizations have strategic plans and you basically indicated what happens to many of them that put on the shelf and next time they do another one. So I think to keep it alive and then related to current activities is really important.
Yes, that's where I think we're getting our value from our vendor. So Provaliant is the vendor, and the plan is pretty straightforward. And the plan that you're going to see is pretty much what you're looking at. A little bit more spelled out on that, but it's pretty simple. But Provaliant's helping us integrate all of that in these places that we haven't been doing that, and they're helping these small teams spin up and execute appropriately, where I think we also will need a little help with that, because I don't think our teams think quite like that right now. And so I think it's kind of a reorienting the way that we prioritize our work.
Rebecca, that's kind of what my question is have you all given much thought to how you're going to roll it out to the 250 people that work with you?
We've talked to the directors. They have more than what I gave you today as far as where we're going. So we've talked a couple times to directors. We are making plans to talk to all of the employees about it, because I agree with you. If we don't get them to have ownership and feel like this is something that they can really get behind, then I think we may fall on our face, and we certainly don't want that.
Thank you.
If I can just add, one of the things that local governments, particularly those that are required to have planning and zoning or do have planning and zoning, they're required to go through a strategic plan process every 5 years. And the process itself, I always found to be at least as important as the end result. So the more you can involve your staff and the rest of employees, I would strongly encourage. But I think it's a great move forward.
I agree with you. Thank you, sir. Okay. Back to you, Mr. Powell.
Jerry, I think I'm next on the agenda. If you
Jerry, I
want.
think you're on mute.
Got me. All right, how about that? Next on the agenda is the KPP update with Mr. Eager.
Thank you, Jerry. There is a report that's been in board books. If anybody wants to drill a little deeper on those, I'd be happy to. I did want to comment on several areas. One is thanks to the legislature, we got additional appropriations this year. Again, we got House Bill 6 gave us for K-9 has an extra $250 million over each of 2 years, and out of the rainy day fund, we're getting $50 million in K-9 has and $25 million in state police each of 2 years. So very grateful that they continue to be supportive over and above what's required by the ACT and or the ARC, I mean, and just keeps us on the road on those, particularly on K-9 has, keeps us on the road toward getting that plan fully funded by 2049. And I'm very hopeful that the June 30 of 2024 will have the funded ratio up around 25% somewhere, give or take a little bit. I'd like to say, don't quote me on it, don't put that number out there, but that's what I suspect. In 2019, it was 12.9, so we've almost doubled the funding since 2019. Secondly, we are having some discussions, the Office of Financial Management, which we wanted to have passed in the last General Assembly, did not. We have Michael and the legal has drafted the language we want going forward. We think we're going to go for a specific bill on that, not put it into housekeeping or any other bill, but let it be a standalone. And we're just starting to talk about getting a bill sponsor very, very soon. I mean, we're not waiting till October to find a bill sponsor. So we're moving on that. The investment office in Louisville, the invitations are out. I think the deadline, I believe, is the 15th of next month. And so we have specified 5 zip codes that we think would be acceptable locations. Or those of Louisville, they're all in the East End, kind of around the Snyder Expressway, up and down from Anchorage up to Prospect. They're good areas. There seems to be a lot of good, nice, proper office space available. We're going to find out for sure. And then lastly, Ryan Barrow. When I was made aware of that he was going to be joining, I wanted to do the same thing I did, but in a much more expansive way, because I was limited in the amount of time I had. and that is meet with key people. So I intend primarily with he and I, but in some cases with some of the staff and Ryan. But I made a list. There are, and this would be comparable to what I did, there are about 15 people internally, department heads and other directors of 8, departments, and other people. It's exactly what I did. I spent an hour with each of those people, and it was very enlightening, number one. But number two, it helped build a relationship. So I think what the executive office and the staff have great relations, and I think it started when I first was able to meet these people, and I think it's going to do the same thing with Ryan. So we have 15. I'd like to think that any director that wanted to take some time, Ryan and I will be happy to have a lunch or a coffee or just a meeting on a one-off basis. So Sherry will be coming to you and asking if you want that. You want to have that meeting. I've identified 25 legislators that I think he should meet. I've asked him to come up with his list, and these are people who have been supportive in one way or another of the retirement systems, and in some cases, a lot of time and a lot of support. In other cases, more casual. But I've got 25 of them, and I am waiting for him to come back with his list to see how we compare. There probably is some overlap in terms of the 8 members of the A&R, but we will see once I get his list. Lynn, did you have a question?
I do. Thank you for that information. And I understand now that Ryan is not able to start working until the middle of June. And I understand why. I mean, I was in the business of issuing bonds and that kind of stuff. And I get the problems that you have and leaving something in the middle of it. But I also have concern that the 2 weeks between the middle of June and the 1st of July is not enough time to make sure that Ryan feels comfortable with both sides. You're talking about the legislative side, you're talking about the staff side, there's auditors, there's lots of things. And I talked to Dave and asked him if he would be willing to work until the end of July to give us that time frame with Ryan. I'm not worried about the expense because we would originally thought that Ryan was going to be able to start on May 1. So this is still less expense than that. But I would like to propose that we take whatever steps it is with both Laurie and Michael Board looking at this to ask Dave if he would extend until 1 month.
I think that's a great idea, and I appreciate Dave for considering it. So I would also endorse that approach.
I think the first question we need to ask is, Mr. Eager, would you be willing?
I had to make one phone call, and you know to who.
Yeah. And did your boss say it was okay?
My boss said it was okay. She said it was okay.
Oh, good. Mr. Board, what do we, and Ms. Casey, what do we need to do to accommodate that? Is there a contract extension or providing, or do you need to research that a little bit?
I think it would, Lori, are you on?
I'm here, yes.
Okay. From my mind, it would simply just be an addendum. We could add an addendum to his existing contract, extending it for 1 month or under the current terms. And that would be, an easy thing to do. This board could vote on that at its next meeting, and that should, solve that problem.
Would we
So-
have to give him a different title though, Michael, since we can't have 2 executive directors at the same time?
That is a question for Ms. Casey.
Yeah, and technically we can, Chris, we've done some research over the last month or so. We can have 2 titles in the payroll personnel system. From my perspective, that's fine. They can overlap. And there's no issue as long as we have an updated contract, an addendum. that's fine.
Does it create a statutory issue though, is what I'm wondering about.
Oh, from a statutory standpoint, yeah, I mean, the language in the statute is singular. It says the KPPA board shall contract for an executive director. It is singular in the statute, so it may be best to resolve that by in that addendum, giving him a different title. And I can work with Ms. Casey, to, we can figure out what that title needs to be in that addendum, and that addendum could simply say that, we're extending his current contract for 1 month to expire on this date under the current terms, but shifting to the role of whatever that title needs to be. And so we
Something like a consultant.
Yeah, Michael, right now, under the contract with Mr. Barrow, or the proposed contract with Mr. Barrow, he, for the overlap period of time, is being called contract executive director, and then it says he'll take over. So I mean, we could just do the flip side, with Mr. Eager.
Could you call it transitional consultant?
Yes. Well, we can find a title to make that work. That won't be a problem. So we can work on that between now and the June meeting of this board, and have something prepared. If that's what this board desires, and Mr. Eager is willing, we can work on having that document prepared and ready, to be approved at the board's June meeting.
But it'd be helpful just to have a motion to indicate to move ahead with that arrangement.
That would be helpful, for the board to express that is their desire. And then we would move ahead with the work to accomplish that.
Makes sense to me. I will entertain that motion.
Mr. Powell, just
Yes,
to let you know and to make it part of the record, Mr. Summers has joined us. And I just wanted to make
Okay.
sure he's able to hear us and he can speak, and that way we can know he can vote.
Yes, I'm sorry I'm late.
Oh, you're fine, Mr. Summers. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. That being said, I'll entertain a motion for the addendum to Mr. Eager's contract for one month.
I'll make that motion and truly thank Dave for this consideration.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And Mr. Eager, thank your boss force for allowing you to do that.
Yeah. Well, I thank you all for the good of the KPPA. I didn't comment and I won't elaborate much more, but when I first started the first month, or maybe a little more, but certainly the first month, Sean Sparks, who had been our legislative liaison, set up meetings with a great number of legislators. I'd never met them. I had no clue who they were. And I think we all agree that the relationship between KPPA, the CEOs, and with the legislature has improved dramatically. And it started right then when Sean took me around and we sat with just a wide variety of people, and he introduced me, and that was the kickoff of, I think, the turning of the relationship. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have Mr. Summers with us, so we've got everybody here now. So I'd like to go back up to number 9, the approval of employment contract with Mr. Ryan Barrows. Is he in the waiting room, Ms. Rankin?
He is. I've just let him into the meeting.
All right, thank you. I'll let you do a mic check and all that with him before we proceed.
Mr. Barrow, are you able to join us?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, what we have now is the approval of the employment contract with Ryan Barrows. I guess who is doing that? Ms. Wright, would you care to update us on this and explain what's about the negotiations and the contract?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Powell, and it's nice to be with all of you today. Mr. Barrow, I'm happy to see that you're able to join. when I get finished, feel free, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to add anything or clarify anything that I've said. So in the board materials, and I believe it's on pages 37 to 44 in your board materials, you will find this proposed agreement. And I'll start by saying we started with the same template that was used for Mr. Eager's last contract. And we made a few modifications. Some of it is really just to clarify and be a little more specific or precise in a couple of different areas. And so in negotiating this proposed employment agreement with Mr. Barrow, the focus of our negotiations was on just several issues. One, the start date, and you'll see the start date, the proposed start date is June 16th, 2024. And there was some discussion around Mr. Barrow's desire to see through a few bond transactions that he's currently working on in his current position, and to give adequate notice to his current agency. And he also has a pre-planned vacation at the end of May, beginning of June. And from a state perspective, the state wants the start date to be either the 1st of the month or the 16th of the month. And so that's why you see the June 16th date in there. One of the next issue that there was some discussion around is the contract term. In the past, it's been pretty standard for the executive director and other contract employees to have a 2-year term. I know Mr. Eager's last contract was for 1 year, and he indicated his intent to retire at the end of that 1-year extension. The agreement that you have in your board materials has an expiration date of June 30th, 2026, which reflects KPPA's proposal for a 2-year term. But in discussing that term with Mr. Barrow, he has requested that the contract term be for 3 years. So instead of expiring on 2026, he would like that to expire on 2027. And Mr. Barrow did point out the benefit to KPPA in having a 3-year term instead of a 2-year term is the fact that the board will not be renegotiating or having to address his salary until 2027 as opposed to 2026. And I'm sorry, did someone have a question? If not, I'll kind of go through the issues we talked about, and I'll let Mr. Barrow add anything when I finish, and we're happy to take questions. The other things that we've added in here, if you look at page 38 in the board materials under the paragraph number 2, resignation, contract term, and notice of non-renewal, we added some new language here just to make clear he's resigning from his current position to be reappointed to this contract position. And the idea there is we want to, we're trying to define here or document the advice we were given by the personnel cabinet that would ensure that there's no break in service for him, so that he his accumulated comp time, sick time, et cetera, carry over to the new position. Also new there is KPPA's obligation to provide written notice to Mr. Barrow if it intends not to renegotiate a renewal or extension at least 60 days prior to the contract term. Certainly there can be more notice than that, but it would require a minimum of 60 days notice prior to the expiration of the agreement, if the intent is not to renegotiate a new agreement or an extension. The other issues that we talked about under compensation, also on page 38 of the board materials, we just added some language in there that Mr. Barrow is going to receive any salary increments intended as cost of living adjustments passed by the legislature in its budget. And we use the word salary increment there at Mr. Barrow's request because the budget bill doesn't use the terminology cost of living adjustments, but I think we're all on the same page there as to which salary increments we're talking about, or salary adjustments. We also added a little bit of clarifying language under, if you go to the next page, page 39, under the definition of termination for cause, that definition of cause, we just added some clarifying language here. Under the cause definition that begins with misconduct in connection with the performance of any of his duties, listed there is the violation of any laws. We added that parenthetical except for minor traffic violations. Certainly it's not our intent that would be that a speeding ticket would be cause for termination. And then going over to page 40, under the termination without cause provision, I just want to point out that if Mr. Barrow is terminated without cause, it says that he'll be entitled to 6 months of his contractual compensation, or the amount of contractual compensation remaining through the end of the contract term, whichever is less. And Mr. Barrow, while he is proposing a 3-year contract term, he is not proposing anything more than the 6 months severance, even if the board were to vote and agree to a 3-year term. Other than that, I think under notices, he asked that notices be sent to him via email, and that eliminates the need to include his personal address in this agreement. Of course, that information would be redacted. This is going to be a public document, but the intent is not that his home address would be redacted, but to eliminate even the need to redact it, he has requested that notices be sent to this personal email address. And I think that was really kind of the focus of our negotiations. Mr. Barrow, do you have anything to add or anything that you'd like to clarify about what I've presented to the board?
Well, first, let me thank you. I do appreciate your time and talking through this with me. So we definitely landed there. If I may just touch on just a minute or two about the 3-year versus the 2-year, I really kind of focused on 3 categories there. Kind of to start with timing, when I interviewed, I kind of committed to not come in and make any major changes. I think I used the term listen. So I would certainly want to do that. And kind of after you get through that period and you start on, say, a project, projects I've worked on, initiatives, strategic initiatives, sometimes it's a week, a month, or a year. But, for a larger project, there would only be one potential session of the General Assembly in that contract. So I just kind of looked at that timing, and then, I hope it came through in my interview. I made a huge commitment to OFM when I started. I'd like to make the same. I'm used to a kind of 4-year terms. I've been through 5 administrations, so that was 4 transitions. And, focusing on kind of staff, I see those transitions as difficult. Some people make life decisions, meaning retire 2 or 3 years early to avoid that transition. So, with the focus on institutional knowledge that KPPA has, I think a longer, shorter terms, I don't think help with employees. So, there's nothing magic about a 3-year, but it is what I'm proposing. And then finally, the cost. I appreciate the optionality of the board for a shorter duration. But I would say the reverse is, I hope we'd appreciate for me for a slightly longer duration. And, from my perspective, I'm actually asking in to lock in annual expected cost, versus, some people in negotiations would like to increase, the annual cost of a contract. And I'm actually doing the opposite by asking for an extension. And, those that are sensitive to cost, which I am, those, over a period of time, in a vacuum, if there's, 2-year renewal, 2-year renewal, 2-year renewal, that's a lot of board time, staff time, and legal time. So those are, the timing, the commitment, and the cost were the 3 that I was looking at for that provision. So appreciate you let me say that, Kate.
Thank you.
Do you have
does
anything else,
anyone-
Ms. Wright?
I was just going to ask if there are any questions for me or Mr. Barrow.
Ms. Hampton had her hand up.
I'm really uncomfortable moving from 2 years to 3 years. I appreciate all the thought Ryan has put into it. We just earlier in the agenda, Ryan, were able to extend Dave's contract a month to really help you in the transition. And so I'm glad that we're able to do that, and thank Dave again for the accommodation. And I'm sure you will too. But all of our contract employees are 2 years. We actually made our CEO 2 years. It is not too much work. It actually gives us and gives new trustees the ability to look at the contract. We totally expect that you're going to be here from the time you start to the time you retire, and want you to recognize that looking at the contract is actually something important to us. And so I will support staying with the 2 years.
Okay.
Mr. Lane.
I'd just echo what Ms. Hampton had to say. We've traditionally done 2-year contracts. I would just take, not exception, but the cost of renewing at the end of 2 years and adjusting Mr. Eager's contracts has been minimal. And so I wouldn't put much stock in that. And in reality, if Mr. Barrow performs as we hope and expect, we probably will adjust a contract if we can financially. But I think 2 years is a good period for us to assess.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Piercy, you had your hand up. Did you change your mind?
No, I don't know what I did there. I hit the button and took it down. Sorry about that. No, I agree.
No problem.
I think we've kind of set the norm here the last couple of years of 2-year contracts. It's what both CEOs have. It's what we did for the internal auditor when we just did that this past year. So I think Dave, had what, 3 2-year contracts, Dave? Does that sound right? I think he's giving me a thumbs up.
Yeah, thumbs up. Yeah.
As I recall, there was not any contentious moments about getting him renewed at any point. So look, as long as things are going good here, the board's always willing to extend folks. So I would also be on the side of staying with our norm of a 2-year contract.
Anybody else have a comment? Let me interject mine. The 2-year is really, I consider, more of a benefit for the trustees on the board due to when the terms expire. That gives the new trustees to kind of know what's in the contract, to have a little input, and this gives it a nice little balance for new and old to guide them through. So when it comes up later on, you're not going to be worried about completely overturning or turnover of the trustees that hadn't gone through a contract discussion. So it's a beneficial for the trustees. Mr. Barrow, are you strongly set on the 3 years, or would you, is 2 years okay?
Let me first say, I think when I transitioned to the room, I think my video was off, and that's certainly not my intention. So I apologize. So should have said in the beginning, I just wanted to share my thoughts for debate. I think the debate is great. I'm respective of policy and procedure, wanted to share my thoughts and, totally understand what was said. And it was a discussion item, not contingent on my acceptance, just advocating for those 3 categories. But, I understand, the boards and being respectful of future trustees. So I did disclose to council that I would accept a 2-year, just wanted these few minutes to have that discussion.
And this could be something we could discuss in a couple of years, or as the contracts for the other contract employees go up, to maybe then go to 3 years. But this keeps everybody on the same level playing field for right now.
It may be asked again in 2 years. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Powell, I'm sorry. I was driving, but I just wanted to say that I agreed with everybody else's comments. I was talking, I hit the wrong button, so I'm driving, so I apologize.
No problem. No problem. Just want to make sure you're part of it. You're part of our team. So I appreciate all your input.
Jerry, I will make a motion to approve the contract for Mr. Barrow as written in the board books with an expiration date of June 30, 2026 to cover 2 years.
We have a motion to have a second.
I'll second that.
And Mr. Summers, second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? This motion carries. And Mr. Barrow, welcome to our team.
Thank you
Looking
very
forward
much.
to getting to know you.
Yes, sir.
Anything else before we move on? Mr. Barrow, you're welcome to stay, or if you've got other obligations, you're free to leave also.
Well, I will say, just if I may, just 1 minute.
Sure, as long as you want.
Well, I was trying to watch. I was a little behind on YouTube, so I've got to start with thank you to David Eager. I very much appreciate that. What I wanted to start with is just to thank the board. I think the hiring process was very thoughtful and deliberate. So I very much thank you for that, and the members that spent considerable amount of time. I'm honored, and I think it just set in today. So I'm excited about the KPPA team. Not many opportunities I would have left OFM for, so I'm very excited. And then, I do really appreciate that transition time, the consideration of the board. When I started in state government with Tom Howard, and then I guess another thing in terms about the delayed start date is that I can do the transition for my successor. So that.
And next up on our agenda is the Service Recognition Awards. And
Mr.
this could
Powell?
be a good way to introduce yourself. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, before we go to the next item, I wanted on behalf of staff to actually thank Katie for doing the heavy lift for us, because it was a weird position for legal to negotiate the contract with their future boss. So we really appreciate her stepping in and working with Lori Casey and all of Lori's time too. So I just wanted the board to know that part of it.
And the modifications were excellent that you made. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
But like I said, Ms. Barrow, we're going to do the Service Recognition Awards. Give a good opportunity to see how dedicated the KPPA employees are. That being said, Ms. Casey, Service Awards.
Thank you and good morning. We just want to take an opportunity. We've taken time at each of the annual board meetings since 1988 to recognize staff members that have served in in 5-year increments, 10, 15, 20, 25, all the way up to 30. We have some 30-year recipients this year. We want to recognize staff and just let them know that we really appreciate all of their service to KPPA, to our members. They just do an excellent job day in and day out. And I also, before I read through the names, want to mention we did hold a reception on site yesterday. We were able to hand them some certificates, some service pins that are really nice. And then we were able to get photos. So we just wanted to recognize them. I do want to read through the names though, if that's okay. We have a
Please.
total of 57 employees that are receiving service awards this year. It's a considerable number. We have 16 employees that are receiving 5-year awards. And those are Amy Gash in accounting, LaShanna Norris in accounting, Angie Griffin in enterprise and technology services, Timothy Groves in enterprise and technology services, Travis Humphreys, who works in enterprise and technology services, Ashlyn Jackson, who's a counselor in disability and survivor benefits, Martha Stratton in employer reporting, compliance and education, Madeline Evans in internal audit, Victoria Hale in legal non-advocacy, Chase Nichols in member services, Kimberly Harris in member services, Andrea Youngblood in membership support, Kennedy Lewis in membership support, Sean Newsom in membership support, Dolores Birdwhistle in procurement and office services, Brenda Snyder in retiree healthcare. And then we also have 10 employees that are receiving their 10-year award at KPPA. And just to clarify real quick, that's not in state government. That is specifically at KPPA.
Gloria, can I say one thing? I got to ask you a question. One of those
Sure.
5-year people in the canteen, we had a big acknowledgement and punch and so forth. But one of the people raised her hand and she said, I've only been here 5 years. And she's, would appear to be somebody who could have been here a lot longer. My only regret is I didn't get here sooner. She said it's a wonderful place to work. So
She did. Yeah, we had a few comments like that. So that's always pleasing to hear. Our 10-year recipients are Don Chappelle in Enterprise and Technology Services, Magnus Yair in Enterprise and Technology Services, Megan Gorham in Disability and Survivor Benefits, Carrie Slayton in Legal Advocacy, Daniel Nation in Membership Support, Jack Medler in Membership Support, Brett Howe in Quality Assurance, Lindsay Fallis in Quality Assurance, Rachel Barnett in Retiree Healthcare, and Tom Wells in Retiree Healthcare. And then moving on to our 15-year recipients, we had 8 of those. Connie Davis in accounting, Chad Bryan in Enterprise and Technology Services, Kevin Lee in Enterprise and Technology Services, Martin Miller III, Enterprise and Technology Services, Sean Case, Enterprise and Technology Services, Holly Liu in Procurement and Office Services, Amy Hawkinsmith in Quality Assurance, Leah Locknane in Retiree Healthcare. And then we have a considerable number for 20-year service award. We have 10 employees, Christy Feldman in accounting, Christy Boone in disability and survivor benefits, Dominique McKinley, Enterprise and Technology Services, Benny Good in employer reporting, compliance and education, Dewan Surratt in employer compliance, reporting and education, Melissa Ping in employer reporting, compliance and education, Kimberly Leet in human resources, Leanne Davis, legal advocacy, Jeffrey Pritchett, member services, and Deborah Smith, quality assurance. And then our 25-year service awards are Ann Case in accounting, Michael Kurtzinger in accounting, Liza Welch in disability and survivor benefits, Rebecca Atkins in our executive area, Lori Wells in human resources, Jody Carson in member services, Kelly Newton in member services, Jennifer Land in quality assurance, Wesley Crosswaite in quality assurance, and Wesley Smith in quality assurance. And then finally, we have 3 employees that are receiving 30-year awards. So they have been at KPPA for 30 years. We have Terry Price in member services, Walter Weitzel in membership support, and Andrew Deaton in quality assurance. So again, we just appreciate their dedication and all the time and effort that they have given for our members in KPPA.
Mr.
I
Pell,
told her-
may I add that we have so many staff who stay and stay and stay, and I think that speaks more of them and the value that they put on the service to our membership. We're proud of how well our staff does and how committed they are to our members.
Yeah,
Miss-
thank you.
Was her hand raised?
Ms. Hampton.
Yeah, I just want to say a couple words. One is, this is really impressive. When I look at, in particular, I'm going to focus on two areas. One is the membership facing, the fact that we've got so many people with this longevity and they understand the system. And so they can, provide that service with, without saying, sorry, I got to call you back. And, that's very, very impressive. The second, in particular, with Rebecca and Dominique, look at this longevity in an area of technology. I'm just guessing there's no place in this country that has that kind of longevity in the staff. I mean, that's an area where you've got extremely competitive positions. And the fact that they're staying here means, one, they enjoy their work. Two, they're dedicated to their work. They're keeping things modern. We're meeting what they want to do. They wouldn't be in technology. One of the things that's demonstrated, and this is not just technology, but this is the whole organization, was the rollout this week of paperless. I've been kind of following that online and looking at those things, and it's really quite impressive how much fun that you've made rolling out paperless. So really great to the whole organization, in particular those areas of membership facing and technology. Congratulations.
Thank you. Mr. Eager, you're up.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for your time, trustees, on this. Just a couple of comments. One of the things this points out is the need for succession. We have a whole lot of people who are, at 25 years. We have a great number that are eligible to retire. They could retire tomorrow if they wanted to. And so succession is a part of the strategic plan that's important. The other thing I would say is, in our last employee survey, 94% of the people said they felt they belonged to a team. And I think that's what part of why we have people stay so long, and they get supported by their peers. They enjoy working with their peers. I told the story to this group at the meeting the other day. I just read where somebody was interviewing Leonard Bernstein while he was still alive, and they said, "What's the hardest position to recruit in an orchestra?" He said, "Second violin." What? Nobody wants to play second fiddle. And but the orchestra needs, he said, the orchestra is not complete without a second violin or any other position, the third flute or whatever it might be. And we have an orchestra here. I mean, we have people who never see members. We have people who have a lot of prominence. We have people who make more money, less money. But this is, I said, let's think of ourselves as the orchestra, and we're working together to produce something. So that's my comment. There is a culture here that's was here long before I came, but it's I've tried to maintain it for sure.
We thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments. And I too also would like to thank the dedication of all of our employees, and a special recognition to those that received their service awards yesterday. And I personally like to thank the Rebecca Atkins is here with us, and we have Victoria Hale here and Connie Davis. Since you are here with us, I want to personally thank you for all you do for KPPA, as well as all the employees of KPPA. Your dedication and hard work does not go unnoticed, not only from the board, but also as a member receiving benefits from the KPPA. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on agenda is new business. Mr. Cheatham.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Jerry. I want to begin by, saying I'm really looking forward to being on this board over the next year and working with each one of you. I've had the opportunity, obviously, to work with the C members over the last few years, and had the opportunity to work with Dave and Ed and Michael and several others along the way. Thing I wanted to talk about today, or kind of bring to your attention and bring to the board for their consideration, is an opportunity that I think we have to enhance the cooperation between the two boards that ultimately make up KPPA, the C board and the K board. One of the things that I've over the last 3 years have found a little bit frustrating is, the pretty, I don't say fine line, because it's not even really a fine line between the two K board and C board and KPPA. While KPPA is made up of the 4 members from each of those two boards, the really outside of those are no real opportunities for the other members of C and K to be involved with things that go on through the KPPA board itself. So one of the conversations that I had recently was with Michael Board and Ed and our, when I say our, I mean the C board attorney, Eric, to look into the issue of the committees and how people are appointed and made to some of the committees. And I'll let Michael address some of his research in a minute, but ultimately what I'm proposing that we look at is making 2 changes. One, a broad change to the bylaws that would allow outside of the standing committees in particular, but for ad hoc committees and that sort of thing, for the chairman to have the opportunity to reach out into the C board, into the K board, and potentially even the staff, in order to form ad hoc committees as needed and take full advantage of all the expertise and talent that's available on each of those boards or within the organization. And I'll let Michael address his research to that first. And then there's a specific committee, the audit committee, that I would like to make a proposal based on that too. So if you don't mind, Michael.
Yes, so I'll begin by saying, I think when KPPA in 2021 and prior, when all of this new structure was coming into play, I've kind of looked back and talked to people about when this was all being set up. The advice that was given from the legal office was that when you're forming a committee of the KPPA board, we could only consider the 8 members of the KPPA board to serve on those committees. And that was the advice that was given. That's the advice that has been followed. I've carried forward with that advice. And as a general rule, when you are serving as counsel to an agency, counsel to a corporate entity like this, you typically do not go back and continually revisit the advice that has been given and the advice that they're operating under, as long as that advice is not contrary to the law in a way that is going to cause that agency or corporate entity to get in any trouble. You continue with that advice, because otherwise, every time the legal leadership changes at an entity like that, you could end up yanking the agency all over the place in the way they're functioning and in the way they're structured. And so you don't go about doing that. However, in this instance, Mr. Cheatham did ask, well, can we really push on that a little bit and consider this in a different light? And when asked, I'm obviously going to be responsive to board members or trustees that asked me to really dig into this a bit. And so I did. And so we dug into it a little bit and reached out to some of our outside counsel that give us advice on fiduciary matters and things of that. And the outcome was that we are not restricted to only KPPA members to serve on KPPA committees from a legal framework. Our current bylaws do have those restrictions and are going to require quite a bit of amendments. I've been going through those and I've come up with quite a few areas where we're going to need to change the phrasing. We need to change a definition, and then we need to change quite a bit of term usage throughout the bylaws to make this work. But we can do it if that's what this board wants to do. So that's where we are now. We just need to make clear to those, if, as Mr. Cheatham mentioned, that to give the KPPA chair the ability to say, we're forming this KPPA committee and we're going to have, X number of KPPA board members, and we want to reach out to the other C trustees or the other K trustees and bring them on, one or two of them on to offer their expertise. As long as those trustees know that in that setting, they're putting on a KPPA hat, because this is a KPPA committee that they're now serving on. And so they're putting on that KPPA hat in that role. That would be the one thing to make clear to those members in that sense. But it is doable, but it will require some bylaw amendments to be accomplished.
Okay. Michael, I appreciate you taking the time and effort to look into it. My goal here is to obviously serve KPPA, but as chair of the C board, to serve the C board. And I think one of the things that I think most all of us would agree, anything we can do to enhance the cooperation between the C and K boards is something that ought to be part of our responsibility as well. The specific issue that I really wanted to address that led us into this discussion is with the audit committee. Currently, the audit committee is made up of 4 individuals, 2 from C, 2 from K, that serve on KPPA. Particularly now that we're looking at 2 items that were just on today's agenda. The fact that we're going to be doing 2 separate ACFRs going forward. The strategic plan, particularly with the issues of governance, anything that we can do to enhance governance, I think this would go to. My ultimate proposal is to make the changes to the bylaws to allow for greater participation in committees as needed. But the specific one that I'm looking at is with regard to the audit committee, to allow the chair to appoint 1 additional person from both the C board and the K board, so that we continue our even split going forward, but to bring a little additional background and expertise into those areas. If the way I would phrase that proposal would be for the chair to actually make the appointment based on the recommendations of the chair from the C board and from the K board. So with that, I'll open it up to questions or discussion, and I'd certainly like your consideration for this change. I think it would be an enhancement to the organization.
This would currently only affect audit and administrative regulation committee. Is that correct?
And I think the work group as well, the budget work.
Budget work group, okay.
Could you not also think about the retiree healthcare? You may or may not want to do that, but I would think it would be part of the discussion, because
Well,
it was
that's
a joint committee for the purpose of allowing more members from both the C and the K boards.
That's a joint committee, right?
That's correct. And so
Yeah.
it already,
Currently,
these members are currently appointed by each respective board chair. Only difference would be if you wanted to increase the numbers.
Yeah, I agree,
that
but I think
board.
we made them joint committees at the time of the split because we didn't have this as an option. At the time, that's what legal was saying. And so we created joint
Yeah.
committees when I think we would have made them committees off of KPPA. I think that you all would have made them committees off of KPPA from the get-go, but that wasn't an option at the time. So I'm just throwing that out as something to think about in the process.
Mr. Lane.
I'm going to address this from a little different direction and just philosophically, and coming from the private sector and management for 50 years there, the larger a committee, this is a generalization, the larger the committee, in my experience, the more difficult getting to good decisions becomes. Now, is going from 4 to 6 large? No, not really, but I don't like to go down the road of size creep here. I've worked on a couple of our small working groups that worked beautifully because they were, one reason they had good leadership, not me, good leadership. And we had a small group and we were able to quickly get to the salient and important facts. So philosophically, from my years in management, I'm against larger committees as opposed to smaller committees. Now, that doesn't define larger and doesn't define smaller, but I just want to throw that out.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Piercy, you had a comment?
I was just going to say, and I agree with Pruitt. I don't think I think you make committees larger, you probably create more problems than you solve. But as a global matter, I don't have any issue at all with pulling members from the other boards up to a KPPA board. That on that particular issue, I don't have a problem with it. But I do agree with Pruitt. If you make just a bunch of larger committees, you're probably asking for a quagmire.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hackbert, you had your hand up. Or excuse me, Dr. Hackbert. And you're muted.
I probably should be. Regarding the committees, if I understand the intent of the suggestion that's being made here is that to bring other individuals who may have special expertise onto our committees. That's part of the recommendation, I think, that is being made. Do we have to have these committees dominated by members of KPPA board, or could we just have the same number of committee members, but just have more flexibility in selecting who serves on ad hoc committees? If there's concern about enlarging them.
I would answer that to say, I want to make sure we're not just talking about the ad hoc committees, we're also talking about the standing committees. So we're talking about all committees. Because the audit committee is a standing committee. So we're talking about standing and ad hoc committees, but I would say that don't necessarily have to increase the number. So if we take, as Mr. Cheatham laid out, the audit committee currently has 4 members, 2 from each. His proposal is to amend to allow 1 additional from each side. If this board wanted to do that, that's perfectly reasonable. It's also perfectly reasonable to say, keep it at 4, but it can be, you can choose one of those, it's 2 from K and 2 from C. It can be one of those does not have to be a KPPA member. You can dip over into the other non-KPPA trustees to choose one of those. My caution would be, we do need to have KPPA members on those committees, because when those committees report back to KPPA for those presentations and votes on those things, you're probably going to want to have a KPPA board member reporting up from that committee, bringing that report to the KPPA board and being able to vote on what that committee did with the KPPA board. And those non-KPPA members that are trustees from C and K would not be able to vote at the KPPA board level on the committee recommendations. They would not be able to vote at that level. So to your question, Dr. Hackbart, you don't necessarily have to increase the size. You can increase the size. Just we do want to keep some KPPA board membership on KPPA committees and don't divert too far from that.
Ms. Hampton.
First place, I am not against this. I think anytime we can bring expertise to decisions in audit and others, it's good. I just want to say, from managing or being the chairman of KRS, one of the things that I have to be very cautious of is the majority of our trustees have full-time jobs. And, their commitment to KRS has been great. But being able to say, okay, now we need somebody else to participate on a committee. I don't want to be in a position where we can't get quorums or something like that, because we've got people stretching too far. So, I think it's a very interesting idea. And if we approve this, I will send a note out to the KRS members asking for a volunteer. But recognize that this is, potentially an issue because of, again, people working. I also want to say I don't want to head down the road where we end up with basically back to the organization we had. We have, committees of the whole, so to speak. And I don't think that was in the legislation. And I think if we headed that way, we'd get some opposition from the General Assembly. So that's it. But again, I would support this in I guess theory.
Thank you. Mr. Cheatham.
Yeah, I just want to make clear what my proposal or intention is. As I understand the current status, in order to allow members to be appointed that are of K or C that are not currently on KPPA, we would have to have the bylaw change specifically with regard to the definition of what a committee member could be. Whether that be, limited to, the pool being nothing more than members of K and C and KPPA, I'm fine with that. I understand Mr. Lane's argument with regard to, nobody ever wants to manage an organization by committee. But I will point out, as far as size, the minimum required number of city council members that any city has to have is 6. So, I don't think 6 would be too much of a stretch. But I really think that as important as the audit committee is, and the ability to bring people in with expertise, whether they're being on K board or the C board, and that's going to change from cycle to cycle, depending on who's sitting on those boards. I think the freedom to be able to do that would strictly be an enhancement to the organization. I understand the argument of slippery slope. Sometimes, though, the land's flat, and I think this would go a long way to particularly helping both the working relationship between the two boards as well as KPPA. So, with that, I'll leave it at that point. But I think at a minimum, I would make the proposal or the motion, at least anyway, for Michael to put something together so that people could see what those changes might actually look like.
This is William. I'm sorry. I don't know if I've been on the board the least amount of time, but I haven't experienced the C board or the K board not working well together. And if we're looking to do something like this, is something going on right now where we are not able to do something as good as we should have, so we need to change? I mean, typically, if you look to do something, it's because, well, we're not able to do this, so let's make this adjustments to accomplish this. From my perspective, it seems like we're accomplishing everything that we need to accomplish. So I'm just not sure why this is something that is viewed that is needed to be done.
I think I might have a proposed motion here that could would be that that we request or direct the administrative section of KPPA to research and propose amendment to the bylaws that would allow board members from both the C and K board to be part of the committees of KPPA, and also direct that the chair of those committees has to be a KPPA member, but it could be made up of non-KPPA members. That would be the first one I would suggest. The second one would be ask them to research and propose bylaw changes that would expand each committee by 2 members. And that's a separate motion. So, and go that way, then we can, instead of trying to lump it all together, we can get what I think is the meat of what Lyle's trying to say, in that we have so much expertise in both the C and K board that we could utilize with KPPA. That's not being utilized now, and I think it does disservice to the KPPA, where we have that information, resources, and knowledge that could be part of our decision-making process. Any other comments? Hearing none, I'll make, or did you, I guess you had a motion there, Lyle, or did you want to?
You're muted.
You're muted.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I think my last statement was essentially the motion to do just what Chairman proposed, that we just asked that at this point that Michael look at, put something together that can be at least discussed. Right now, it's just an idea in theory, but you know, I'd like to see something so that people could actually see what changes would be required and how that would look. So I would. So that's a
your motion would be to lump it, to have the increase the membership also, and research the boards.
Yeah, like I said, that's it.
Yeah.
Whether it's a motion or a second, Jerry, I defer.
Yeah, that's fine. Motion to authorize Dr. Hackford, we'll get to you just after we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second to Mr. Cheatham's motion?
I'll second it.
Okay. We have a first and a second. Now, any discussion? Dr. Hackford.
I was just wondering, did we use the term ex officio members of any of our committees? Would that be a remedy that could be used to get it? You could have regular committee members plus ex officio members, non-voting members, in other words. Would that be?
We had ex officio when it was under the same umbrella of KRS. Since the split, there's no ex officio members. And I don't know if that's permitted under the regulations and changes.
And if the intent is to take advantage of expertise that might be in either in K or C committees, that may be, but non-voting, that might be a solution if that's possible.
I guess we could add that to their research if Mr. Cheatham's willing to amend his motion.
I am. I'm certainly for anything that you know would enhance the organization. I think ex officio, because I think Lynn and I got in a little bit of a conversation about ex officio members. There are, as I understand it anyway, there are some, for example, Dr. Hackford being on KPPA in your position as chair of the investment committee on the C board, you're on KPPA as an ex officio member. Doesn't mean you're not a voting member. So the stipulation, I think what you're suggesting is you have ex officio members that are non-voting members. Is that what I understand?
Yes, yes, that's correct. Assuming only KPPA members could vote, so that would be the. That would be the correct situation, correct? Mhm.
I think anything is on the table, but I'd just like to see more involvement between people on the boards.
Ms. Rankin, did you get all that? That's quite a bit going on, but I just want to make sure. For your-
I think I got that, but if you would like to restate the motion for the minutes purposes, that would be great.
All right, let's see here, that authorize the administrative section of KPPA to research and bring forth proposed bylaw changes that would allow for non-KPPA members to serve on the KPPA committees and research the possibility of those members being non-voting ex officio members, and also to expand each committee by 2 trustees from K and 2 from C. Is that cover that for you, Mr. Cheatham?
Yeah, now the only committee I was interested in adding people to was the audit committee.
What's the audit? Okay. We'll make that to the audit committee then.
Thank you.
Dr. Hackbert, do you have anything else?
No,
See
that's
your
fine.
hands.
No,
Okay.
oh, I'm sorry. That's my,
No problem. Just want to make sure that you got your voice in.
appreciate the courtesy, but that was just
Okay.
not paying attention sufficiently.
No problem. You've heard the motion and we had a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Well,
Opposed?
I thought William had some, was discussing before we got into this.
None of my questions were addressed. So like I said,
Oh,
if
I'm
we're
sorry.
just making a motion to just try to see for them to do some research, okay, I'm okay with, but I'm not prepared to make any changes as of right now. And I don't know whether I'll be there at all, but let's let them do some research and make some recommendations. And if it's something that's going to make us more efficient, like I said, I don't know what we're not accomplishing that we want to accomplish now. So I'm not sure why changes are necessary, but we can look at it.
Yep. And that's all this is the way I see it. It's just research. Give us the documents to look at, because I'd always do better when I look at them and see what the proposed changes is. And I'm sure the administrative will get with Mr. Cheatham, make sure his what he desires is included in there. Then we can all talk about it and then make an informed decision. Does that sound good to you, Mr. Summers?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Just, yeah, I guess I wasn't making it, clarifying it real well myself, but yeah, this is just research. Put it down on paper and let's see what comes out. And then we can look at it and then pick it apart and come up with the best possibility that serves the KPPA and our membership. All right.
And Mr.
That being said,
Powell,
I think we need to vote.
mention-
Go ahead, Mr. Board.
I just wanted to mention here, I know that, we're talking about the audit committee here, and earlier in the meeting, you held off on appointing people to the audit committee because of this discussion. And based on where we stand right now, I believe the audit committee's next meeting, and Mr. Rankin, you may have to let me know this, but I think it is May 30th. So this board is not scheduled to meet again until I believe the last week of June. So with that order of meetings coming up, we would need members of the KPPA audit committee to have a meeting prior to this issue being back before this board with the draft changes and additional research that's been requested. So you still have people to talk to and things you mentioned.
Right.
I just wanted that back to mention that in light of the meeting schedule, so that that wasn't lost.
Before that meeting, there'll be the 4 members on the board. I
Okay.
just want to talk to them beforehand and not put
Yeah.
them on the spot here at
Gotcha.
this time.
Gotcha. I just
Yeah.
wanted that to be out there that we'll have to operate under the current bylaws
Correct.
before, until after we can get this considered and completed back before this body in the last week of June. So,
And we've got 2 commitments already, so.
all right.
So I
That's
just need
all I
2
have. I'm
more,
sorry.
and I'll make a phone call here probably next couple of days and have that put forth. But I appreciate you keeping on top of that, keeping me in line. Any other new business? Hearing none, we'll, Mr. Board, you still plan on having a short closed session?
Yep, 15 minutes.
Okay.
Or less, unless I encounter a lot of questions.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
did we take a vote on the motion
Oh,
that was on the floor?
I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. We did not. All in favor of the motion as previously say aye.
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay. Now to the closed session. I will entertain a motion to enter closed session for the purpose of discussion pending litigation.
So move.
I have a first
Second?
and a second for Dr. Hackbert. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. A motion had been made in open session to move into closed session for a specific purpose of litigation and such motion hadn't been carried by a majority vote in open public session. The board shall now enter closed session to consider litigation matters pursuant to KRS 61.810 subsection 1, subsection C. Closed session is necessary because of the necessity protecting confidentiality of the KPPA litigation strategy and preserving any available attorney-client privileges. That being said, Philip, let us